Hello YouTube, I've had my Gear S for a year now, and I thought I would do a review looking at what works, what doesn't work, and what we could potentially see in future Gear S line smartwatches. So I'll probably start with the positives. I bought this Gear S3 on the 14th of November last year, and today is the 13th, so almost to the day that I've had the watch. And I just wanted to talk around some of the things that are quite good on it and some things that need improving, and I'll probably give it a rating as well at the end of the video. So if I just start by the very positive news for me personally, I decided to test out the tracking features in terms of health and well-being, so running, jogging, exercise, eating healthily, and also just generally around Samsung Health. So what I decided to do is obviously set myself up on Samsung Health, and you will see in some of my videos I go into detail about some of the stuff I was doing. So while I was running, I was able to test out features also around music, battery life, and things like that. So one of the things I did was to set myself a goal in November last year, 10 weeks, and I would do 1,300 calories. I would do exercise every day. I would go running daily and see where that took me. I'm happy to report that the results are I lost 10 kilograms in 10 weeks. So that's 22 pounds for some of us that don't do kilograms. But that just shows that if you put your mind to it, I was actually doing it as part of the excitement of getting a new watch and testing out all the features. I didn't necessarily need to lose weight because I'm not overweight, but I just thought I would do it at the time. That's something that I thought I would share as part of the goodness of having something like this, which is a hybrid of a smartwatch but also a fitness tracker. So there is one thing that doesn't track very well that I'll talk about in a minute as well. The other thing is that when I first did my videos, I was talking about the bezel and this noise it makes. You will not notice it. I can tell you now, I've had this for a year. There's no time I've said, oh my god, the bezel is noisy. Only when I'm doing reviews and I've tapped on it. So you won't notice. It's actually quite good. The other thing is, you can see how well built and the quality of this thing is. I've had it for a year, and try and see if you can see any marks. There's no marks on the screen, no marks on the straps. The only marks you'll probably see are something like this on the bezel. And that's due to carelessness. I mean, I did it myself, so I wouldn't blame the watch. The bezel does easily scratch, but obviously if you're looking at what you're doing, you shouldn't have any problems at all. So that's another thing that is very good about this. So if I just look at the best feature, what I would say is the best feature for this smartwatch is Samsung Pay. Basically, I use it every time. You have to have my cards with me. I just tap and go. People always say to me, and they offend me actually, and say, is that Apple Watch? No, it's not. Samsung, very good job on Samsung Pay. It works very, very well. So I would say that's the best feature for me. But some of you who've got the LTE version will probably say LTE is better. We don't get LTE in the UK because they don't support eSIMs at the moment. So that's the drawback. But so that's why I've gone with Samsung Pay. If I talk about some of the things that need to be improved for future Gear S line, the thickness of this thing, I think Samsung could do something here. I know there is a classic version which is much smaller, or not much, but which is smaller than the Frontier. But the Frontier itself could be much thinner. So the bezel could be thinner. It doesn't need to be this thick, and it can still be usable. But this bit here, it's quite thick, and that could be thinner as well. When you wear something like this every day, like I do, you will start to notice that there's something on your hand. It's quite bulky, I have to be honest. It's quite bulky. But the screen size is good, so they shouldn't do anything with that. Leave it as it is, but make sure that the thickness is lessened. The other thing that you want with this thing, if we're calling it a smartwatch, you want it to be true standalone. So what you want to be able to do is when you get your people sending you pictures, you want to be able to view them. You want to be able to respond not just with emojis, which you can do now, but you also want to be able to attach a picture, insert an object, put an audio file, that type of thing. You also want to have the photos that are stored on this that you can easily just transfer. Basically, true standalone, and also something that a smartwatch should be capable of doing. Obviously, that means you're playing around with the RAM, making it a little bit bigger, storage, making it a little bit more as well, so that people can now not depend on. If I just wanted to send a photo to my friend, I don't want to go to my phone. If I've got my watch on, I just want all the pictures on there, just attach, send, and that's it. So that's some of the things to look out for. The other thing I would say is it probably needs a camera. If it's going to be a smart device, it probably needs a camera somewhere. I know that the first versions of this smartwatch, the Gear line, there was some with cameras. I think it started on the band and it went somewhere around here in the earlier versions. So something could happen where we could have a camera on this as well. The other thing that I highly would want on this is a browser. So a true Samsung browser that they developed, they've tested, and it works in here. I don't want to download third-party apps. That also works with the round screen, so that you don't have this square thing in the middle. It has to fit on the screen. The other thing, obviously, that you would want, I have a Galaxy Note 8 and I use Bigsby quite a lot to control the phone. I would say it's very good, and it's something I would want to see on the future Gear S line as well. You can just talk to it and ask it to perform tasks. If you want to, you know, open your calendar or insert a new thing into the calendar or play music, or, you know, all that kind of stuff that you actually would find useful. If this is supposed to be a productivity tool, those things need to be included. Battery life is good. I think you get about 2.5 to 3 days normal use, but you know, if we are gonna add more features to this, you would also want to have more battery life. So that's it really. I thought I would run through quickly how I found it. It's still a very good watch, very reliable. I've not had any problems. The screen is quite bright. You know, if I put photos from my phone and upload onto the watch and just review and look at them, really, really good. I cover a lot of the ins and outs in my other videos. So if you wanted to see around what photos look like and that type of thing on the watch, just look at my other videos, you'll see it. So it comes down to rating really. What I would give this currently is probably an 8 out of 10 based on all the things I've covered in this video. So it's a good smartwatch, don't get me wrong. After a year of use, I've found that some things work and some things, well, I say some things, it's just the flow counter doesn't work. I don't know if I've covered that actually. Let me show you something here. When I say flow counter, what I'm talking about. This thing. So it's very unreliable. It doesn't actually work. If you had a more reliable one next to it, you would find that the other one would always be higher. So this doesn't capture as many steps or flows as it should. It captures steps separately, but this is about the flows. I think if you go over 10 sets of stairs, it should count that as one flow, but this is very, very unreliable. I've seen a lot of people complain about this, and Samsung still hasn't fixed it. So, you know, don't get upset if you see that you can't reach your target every day, because this thing is not reliable at all. So that's I think I might have forgotten to mention that. Otherwise, very good device, very reliable, always, you know, it gives you options to do things in life when you've got a device like this. A lot of stuff that you can go through that you can cover. You know your weather is there, your music is there. I use a lot of third-party apps as well that I covered in my other videos, things like this here, voice memo. You can talk to it and it will record what you're saying and in text. And I use that quite a lot. It's something that you must have, voice memo. And that's it. So yeah, an 8 out of 10 for me. I think a lot of the enhancement could be around just making it thinner. I know that is a Frontier version. It's supposed to have the looks and it's supposed to look rugged like this. But yeah, 8 out of 10. Thank you very much.